All right, let's get you an update now on that march, that protest action. eNCA's Tshegohaco Moagi joins us now live from the scene. And Tshegohaco, just as that interview that you did earlier on reveals, these are people who are working under immense pressure, trying to deliver a service to the people of the city. Who's going to listen to the grievances that they have?
Yes, absolutely, Michelle. As you mentioned, these are definitely firefighters, as you can see them just passing by here. These are firefighters that really are working under immense pressure, and they are saying that they are quite tired of the way that they are being treated by the community. They have called on the Mayor, Herman Mashaba, and his SAPS to actually just work with them and the community at large. So the main grievance is the issue of the attacks that actually happen on firefighters. They are saying that it's become a norm now that when they go into the various communities that they actually get attacked. They're also calling on for the community to be aware and to just understand the situation that they are under right now with just 7 fire engines, that there isn't much that they can possibly be doing to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. They're saying that there is quite a distance between one fire engine, one fire station to another fire station, or just between the fire stations and where they actually need to go to actually turn out that fire. So they're really just calling on the community to understand, to be patient with them, and they are saying that they are trying their best under terrible circumstances at this stage.
Tshegohaco, you asked about the 30-odd firefighting vehicles, fire engines that are being fixed by the city. What was the answer to that question? I know the gentleman was saying, that the city is actually struggling to get all of the fire vehicles on track and back in service.
Absolutely. So, Michelle, as far as I understand it, and what I was saying to the when I was speaking to some of the people today, they were just saying that they are still waiting for some of the fire engines to actually be released. They say that when the fire engines actually go in for maintenance, they are so old, as you heard from one of the firefighters. They are so old, and that they then have to ensure that they actually work with them as much as they possibly can and make sure that they run as smoothly as they possibly can. But they are saying that some of the fire engines come back onto the road and then they just die again. So it just becomes a recurring problem with them, where these fire engines actually just keep the maintenance problem. That is their big concern. But the issue as well is that these fire engines come back onto the road, and that it doesn't necessarily mean that they actually operate completely and as much as they possibly can when they need to go out into a fire. One of the firefighters, actually, Michelle, just mentioning to me that they actually had a situation where one of those fire engines that were released actually came back onto the road, and then they were called out to a fire, and then the fire engine overheated, and then they had to switch it off and actually just carry on with the process, rather, of just just turning off that fire. But then their main problem was that now the engine has overheated and now it needs to go back in for maintenance. So we are still waiting to hear from the city of Johannesburg as to how many fire engines they actually have that are actually on the road at this point, and what is happening with the rest of the fire engines, specifically the 44 that we understand were actually in for maintenance.
And of course, as far as some of those issues are, Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba, Gauteng Police, they're the institutions, the Mayor's office and the police, that are expected to assist and look into these concerns raised by these firefighters. But in terms of issues like vehicles being stoned when firefighters take too long to get to the scene of an incident, I mean, that's clearly a community issue. Who's expected to reach out to the community and address that kind of concern?
Well, this is exactly why they are having this march today, Michelle. They are saying that they actually want the community to understand their plight, that they're actually trying to get to these scenes as soon as possible. But the issue, of course, being, as you mentioned, that the fire engines, the distance is just so far out, and then they have to actually get to the scenes quite quickly, but they can't because of the number of fire engines that they currently have. But they are saying that with this particular march, they are really just calling on the community to understand what they are working with, the little that they are currently working with, and for the large number of fire stations that we have, about 30 in the city of Johannesburg. So they applied for this march. It's not just to the city of Johannesburg, it's not just to JMPD and to SAPS, it's also to the various communities within the city of Johannesburg that they service, urging them to just be patient with them and just to understand that they're actually working with very little fire engines and they're trying their best with what they currently have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much for that update. Our reporter Tshegohaco Moagi.